Chapter 41. Greedy. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Gao Yixiong stared at Lin Fan from upstairs. That person is scum. He is dangerous. Lin Fan took the silver money and ate the foods. He also brought his men to eat there. Greedy. Gao Yixiong realized Lin Fan was a very greedy person. He. Gao Yixiong smiled. Greedy was a weakness in his eyes. Leader, didn't it cost a lot of money to treat us in Zuixianlao? Wang Bao asked. He was really talkative because he was happy to be able to eat in Zuixianlao. Don't mind it. It's worth it. In exchange, I can see all my brother's happy face. Lin Fan said that as if he was the one who paid the bill. But Dragon Gang was really rich. A big shot. Needless to say, that was dirty money. Lin Fan and his men did not go straight to the training ground. Instead, they went to Jinbin's house and gave Jinbin money. After all, Jinbin was really in bad shape, and he couldn't say that he didn't have any money left. After that, he took his men to the training ground to practice. Cultivation was about persistence. Being a baldhead was not a shame anymore for Lin Fan's men. The citizens in Jiangdu City gradually acknowledged their existence as heroes. They were brave enough to teach those Dragon Gang's members a lesson. Training ground. Wang Zhou came to see Lin Fan because he heard a loud sound from a distance. Plus, he had a lot of things to say about the new cases. Wang Zhou was relieved to see that everyone was practicing. That showed Lin Fan's group was solid, and it will become a good habit. Lin Fan held the iron plate and crushed it with his head. He saw Wang Zhou was coming and put down the iron plate on the ground. Master Wang. What's wrong? Come with me. Wang Zhou said seriously. Lin Fan was shocked. Wang Zhou's expression was serious. Something must have happened. Lin Fan asked Wang Bao to continue practicing with everyone, and then he left with Wang Zhou. Lin Fan wanted to ask what had happened. However, he hesitated and remained silent. Strange. What the hell has happened? Could it be that it had something to do with Dragon Gang? Or was it another case? Hunter Guild. It seemed to have something to do with the demon. The Hunter Guild was an independent institution in Jiangdu City. It had no real authority, mainly to deal with demons, that was all. But as long as it was related to the demon, then they must take it over. Meeting hall. Li Zhiyong, Lu Ru, and others were discussing some things there. Master Wang. When they saw Wang Zhou coming, they all got up and saluted. Li Zhiyong and others saw Lin Fan then nodded slightly and said hello. But Lin Fan was a bit surprised. It felt like Wang Zhou personally trained him. And recently, the veterans also heard some news about Lin Fan, and they were quite shocked. Lin Fan stood beside Wang Zhou. He remained silent for the time being. All the big shots were just listening to Wang Zhou, and Lin Fan will be fine as long as he listened carefully. What's the situation now? Wang Zhou asked. Li Zhiyong frowned. Someone has been sent to investigate the situation. Lin Fan didn't know what topic were they talking about. It seemed a bit serious. But as they talked more, he finally knew what happened. It turned out that morning. A beggar came into Jiangdu City. He shouted a demon appeared. For normal people, a beggar shouting about demon was basically like a lunatic and did not listen to his words. But there were a lot of eyes and ears in the city. The hunters immediately took the beggar to Hunter Guild. Wang Zhou frowned and said, if what he said was true, it's quite troublesome, but the demon should not be too active at this time, even the Black Fox demon shouldn't be active just yet. He was worried about the Black Fox demon. After that demon was fully transformed, that demon will become very powerful. It shouldn't be. Li Zhiyong wasn't sure. The last time they suffered a huge defeat against the Black Fox demon, it was also because the Black Fox demon was focused on killing Qin Zhong, giving them a bit advantage. At that time, if the Black Fox demon seriously fought them, they won't be able to scratch that demon, they could even die in that battle. Since the Black Fox demon appeared near Jiangdu City, I have been asked to invite the strongest, but he hasn't come yet, maybe he was delayed by something. Li Jiong was afraid of the Black Fox demon. Lin Fan pondered. He hasn't seen the demon for quite a while, and he missed the demon quite a bit. The demon was good. Good fodder for him to acquire new skills or talents. For example, the hardening skin was very useful. At that time, a man hurriedly came in and reported, "Master, according to the scout, it was indeed the demon's doing." When Li Jiong and others heard that, they looked at each other, and was shocked. What kind of demon is it? If it was the Black Fox demon, it would be really hard to handle. "Sir, there are no footprints left at the scene," that man said. Li Jiong and others frowned, then waved their hands to let him go. Wang Zhou said, "Whether it is the Black Fox demon or not, we must go to the scene. If it's another demon, we have to kill it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be dangerous for the people of Jiangdu City." "All right, let's pack up things and go to the scene right away," Li Jiong said. Quickly. Wang Zhou took Lin Fan away, they had to go back and prepared things. After seeing Wang Zhou leave, Lu Ru said, "Are we really going to do this? With our current credit, we will able to participate in the Immortal Gates examination. There is no need to take risks." "Sister Lu, how can you say such a thing? This is our job, we can't ignore it just because we have enough credit," Li Jiong said. They have already accumulated enough credit while staying in Jiangdu City. For Lu Ru, there was no need to act recklessly. After being lectured by Li Jiong, she didn't say anything. Outside, Lin Fan said, "Sir, do you need to bring someone?" "No. Others will just slow us down. I just need to take you and Captain Zhao," Wang Zhou said. "Prepare some dry food. We may spend some time outside." Chapter 42. That was a pity that I am not a detective. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Leader, are you really leaving without us?" Wang Bao and others surrounded Lin Fan. They wanted to go with Lin Fan in his new mission. Lin Fan said, "Just continue your practice here. It's not safe for you guys. You might encounter a very powerful demon. With your current strength, not only you won't be able to help, but you will also slow us down." Wang Bao bowed his head, he was disappointed because he was so weak. "Okay, but you have to come back in one piece," Wang Bao said. He secretly made a promise in his heart to become stronger so he could be useful for Lin Fan. The cultivation of immortals required talent, but martial arts also required talent. Based on their age and the skills they had, the chances of becoming a master were pretty low. Unless they ate divine medicine, which will increase their spiritual power greatly. Otherwise, there was no chance for them. "During my absence, you guys must practice well, don't worry about me, we will talk about it when I come back," Lin Fan said. Wang Zhou and Captain Zhao were waiting outside the gate. Lin Fan didn't say much, just waved his hands, he told them to practice by themselves and left hurriedly. Outside the city, the powerful hunters of Hunter Guild has already gathered. Wang Zhou, Lin Fan, and Captain Zhao, a total of 7 of them was equal to one elite army. Even if they encountered the Black Fox demon, they would win for sure. "BVEC, sir, do you think Dragon Gang is the one behind all of this?" Lin Fan said. Frankly speaking, Lin Fan didn't know why. Dragon Gang was the first name that came to his mind. Wang Zhou sighed, he frowned and said, Dragon Gang, Dragon Gang. Helpless. If we think about it, there is no benefit for them in doing this. Why would they do this? Wang Zhou said. Wang Zhou had a suspicion of Dragon Gang based on the caravan incident, NDR. Sun dry well, but he didn't have any evidence. As long as there was evidence, could crush Dragon Gang whenever you wanted. Cooperation with the demon was a taboo. But Lin Fan responded that he didn't agree with Wang Zhou's statement because they just didn't know what the benefit for the Dragon Gang was. And he also wanted to know about the reason behind Gao Yixiong's invitation. Lin Fan then switched to Captain Zhao. He rarely met Captain Zhao after Captain Zhao recovered. Let's speed up the pace and strive to get there before dark. Li Xiong said. Quickly. 7 horses rushed away. Valley Village. Lin Fan and others finally reached their destination. The whole village was very quiet, and the blood on the village gate had already dried up. They stood at the entrance of the village but did not enter for the time being. Even though there was a demon, the people in that village didn't go to the city because they didn't like being there. Finally, they entered the village to start the investigation. Being a demon didn't mean they were a dumb creature. Some demons' intelligence was even higher than humans. Lin Fan frowned because he didn't find any corpses. If it were not for the bloodstains, no one would know there was a massacre there. The survivor was scared by the demons and lost his sanity. Wang Zhou looked at the ground to find clues. He was looking for footprints. He could tell what kind of demon it was from seeing the footprints. Strange, it's really weird. Why are there no footprints? Is it a demon without a foot? Meanwhile, the team scattered to find clues. Wang Zhou warned Lin Fan not to go too far from him because the demon might attack him by surprise. Of course, Lin Fan knew that. It was often shown in TV series and dramas. Usually, someone will hear or find something that will lead that person to the demon, and that person will disappear without a trace. Not long after, Wang Zhou found the clue, and he found paw marks on the corner of a broken wooden door. I found something. It's not the black demon fox. The black demon fox has 5 toes. This footprint has 3 toes. Wang Zhou told everyone what he found. Phew, at least it's not a black fox demon. Li Xiong said. He didn't want to fight the black fox demon for the time being. Suddenly, Lin Fan said something shocking. Not only the demons, but humans also take part in the slaughter party. When Wang Zhou and others heard what Lin Fan said, their expressions changed and approached Lin Fan. How did you know? Wang Zhou asked. Lin Fan pointed at the ground. Look, here. The crowd looked at the floor and found a blood-stained floor. Lin Fan squatted down and explained. There were a hole and a bloodstain on the floor. Wang Zhou and others frowned and then looked at Lin Fan with a different impression. Lin Fan's analysis made sense. His ability to observe and analyze something was really exceptional. Chapter 43. Do not think too much. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan acted normally. He wasn't proud even though he found something important, as if to say that was a given for him. I don't expect you can observe that well. Lu Ru smiled. It wasn't that she was interested in Lin Fan, but Lin Fan has saved her the trouble. Lin Fan said, in my opinion, Dragon Gang and the demon is the culprit. If Dragon Gang knew Lin Fan was accusing them, they would be furious. Was he still human? He took the money and ate the foods from Dragon Gang, and he still wanted to accuse them. Crazy. It's hard to confirm Dragon Gang was involved in this without any evidence. Wang Zhou pondered for a moment. Lin Fan felt so helpless. In fact, he knew that Wang Zhou also thought Dragon Gang worked together with demons. Maybe Wang Zhou was wary of the one who backed up Dragon Gang, so he didn't dare to act carelessly. Lu Ru said, based on the situation on the scene, it should have happened last night. It is obviously difficult to find useful evidence. We are just wasting our time here. She didn't want to dig in too deep into that matter, because she already had enough credit to take the Immortal Gates exam. Li Xiong said, what's with the hurry? Since we are already here, we might as well stay here tonight. We will look around tomorrow morning and hope that we can gain something useful. Under normal circumstances, there are very few demons around Jiangdu City, but recently, the number of demons-related cases increased significantly, and we don't know what happened. Li Xiong was one of the most dedicated hunter, he would not give up easily. The night was coming. Lin Fan and others stayed in an abandoned house. Everyone stay awake, not because they didn't want to sleep, but they didn't dare to sleep, because there was a chance demons might appear suddenly in the middle of the night. Although their cultivation was really powerful, the demon was not weak either. If it were the black fox demon that appeared when they were asleep, they would die in a split second. Wang Zhou was standing at the door staring at the scenery outside. Lu Ru was half asleep there, resting with her eyes closed because sleeping late was a woman's natural enemy. She was already asleep at that moment. Besides, she was not afraid of anything. Master Li, the assessment of Immortal Gate is near. Wang Zhou asked. Yeah. We will leave Jiangdu City in a few days. Someone else will come to take our place. Li Xiong said. They have been in Jiangdu City long enough, and they have accumulated enough credit to take the Immortal Gates test. It was their ultimate goal, they could become immortal in the world, and their family will receive many benefits. I want Lin Fan participating in the assessment to check if he has spiritual roots or not. Wang Zhou said. Lin Fan looked up at Wang Zhou. He didn't expect Wang Zhou wanted him to take the test. Lu Ru, in the middle of the night, opened her eyes and slowly said, people from the ordinary family will find it hard to gather the credit even though they have spiritual roots. It's okay. I will give my credit to him. Wang Zhou said, I have no spiritual root, and it will be a waste to keep those credits. I think one day, I will be able to have a talented junior and give those credits away. If that person can enter Immortal Gate, Jiangdu City will be safe. Lu Ru said, I asked you to sell the credit to us, but now you want to give it to your subordinates. Wang Zhou laughed, I am afraid that you guys will forget Jiangdu City because you guys is not from here, but Lin Fan is different, he is very talented, plus, he is from Jiangdu City. If he can really become Immortal Gate's disciples in the future, he can protect Jiangdu City. Lin Fan looked at them and immediately felt a lot of pressure. It was embarrassing that he didn't have a spiritual root for the time being. Even when he was encountering a demon with a spiritual root, he still didn't get it. Lu Ru rolled her eyes because what he said was true. Sir, I don't think I can meet your expectations. Lin Fan said. He knew better than anyone, whether he had a spiritual root or not. He didn't have it for the time being, and he also couldn't guarantee that he will have it later. But there was a chance if he kept beating demons, he will have it. Wang Zhou patted Lin Fan's shoulder, and he said, ignore the pressure, even if you don't have it, it is still a good thing to become a hunter in Jiangdu City. But there is no harm to dream, right? Lin Fan laughed and felt so helpless. Wang Zhou's words moved him. It seemed that he had to think of some way to overcome the trouble. Suddenly, there was a weird sound coming from the dark. It sounded like a bird's voice, but it was a bit different from a bird's voice. There is something wrong with that voice. Lin Fan said. Lu Ru said, that is just a bird's voice. Lin Fan shook his head and thought it was not that simple. She didn't know anything, that was because she never watched the TV series and movies. Wang Zhou was alerted and stood beside Lin Fan, is there a problem? It's hard to say, but I feel there is something dangerous. I will check the situation, rest assured, I won't go too far. Lin Fan said. Okay, but be careful. Wang Zhou said. Hearing what Wang Zhou said, Lin Fan was convinced that something would definitely happen. Don't ask him why he was so sure. Because that was how the plot was progressing normally. Outside. It was dark, except for the lights in the room they were staying in, there was no other source of light, and anyone who stayed there might pee on their pants. I hope I'm just overthinking things. Chapter 44. I know who you are. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan felt there seemed to be evil eyes watching him in the dark while standing there. It seemed something went wrong. Wang Zhou said earlier that the demons were so active recently, so here was the question, why were the demons so active? He thought maybe he attracted the demons from all over the land. That was simply impossible. Suddenly, a cold wind was blowing. Lin Fan suddenly got chilled down to his spine, and he sensed something dangerous. He turned around slowly. In the distance, under the moonlight, there were. Inside the house. Wang Zhou asked, who will take over your position when you guys are leaving? He got along with Li Zhiyong and others for quite a while. Now he had to replace them with another hunter, making Wang Zhou a bit hesitant. He was afraid of the new guy was the type that was hard to deal with, the worst case the new guy might be Dragon Gang's secret agent. If that were the case, it would be a big disaster for Jiangdu City. I can't say anything for the time being. Li Zhiyong said. At that moment, Lin Fan came back from outside with a serious expression. Lu Ru looked at Lin Fan's expression and smiled, "What's wrong with you? Did you just see a ghost or something? Stay alert." Lin Fan said. Lu Ru didn't quite understand what Lin Fan meant. What do you mean? Lin Fan took a deep breath and felt so helpless. We got companions. They were shocked when they heard that. Captain Zhao immediately approached the door, looked into the distance, and he was scared. Team leader Lin, how many of them? Lin Fan answered, I forgot to mention, they are demons, not humans. Looking at the current situation, he recalled what Wang Zhou and others had said in the past, all of those cases were connected. If he realized it earlier, he would have brought all veterans into that mission. Wang Zhou commanded them to get prepared and moved outside. 6 people stood at the village's gate, and there were several demons behind them. That. Wang Zhou and others' expressions changed. Especially it was a full moon that night. Wang Zhou tightly held the 9-ring sword in his hands. If he wanted to survive, only the weapon in his hand that could keep them alive. Who are you? That was a stupid question. Who in their right mind would block the village entrance in the middle of the night? They must have come to kill them. Those 6 people did not answer Wang Zhou but slowly took a stance. Immediately. As they took a stance, a loud voice was heard by everyone. Kill them. The demon roared and rushed towards them, and those 6 people were looking for opportunity. Perhaps Lin Fan was relatively handsome, most of those demons were on to him. Captain Zhao, Lin Fan, you guys are the weakest, don't worry about us, run away when you have a chance. Wang Zhou drew his sword, yelled, and ran towards the demons. Lin Fan wanted to tell Wang Zhou that he was not weak at all. His cultivation has reached 67 years. Captain Zhao, you will be responsible for the weakest demon in a while. Lin Fan looked at those guys and the demon, he was looking for the best opponent for himself. Lin Fan felt a strong aura among those 6 people, and not just 1, but 2. There were also 2 4th-stage demons on the battlefield. Those people behind the scenes simply wanted them to die. When Captain Zhao heard Lin Fan's words, he wanted to knock Lin Fan over. Captain Zhao thought if it were not for him, Lin Fan would have died. But when he saw Lin Fan was beating the demons easily, he held back what he wanted to say. Wang Zhou and Li Zhiyong were also beating up those demons easily. The guy who fought against Lin Fan right now was wearing an iron mask. He used an axe, and he was 3 years above Lin Fan's cultivation. Are you Dragon Gang's lackey? Lin Fan asked while moving his feet to fight him. That man did not answer Lin Fan but threw the axe in his hand toward Lin Fan. The axe was linked to the iron chain. But Lin Fan was extremely fast, and he could evade it easily. But that man's response was also fast, he pulled the iron chain, and the axe changed its direction. The opponent was formidable. Lin Fan was speeding up, and the sword in his hand cut off the opponent's wrist. Burning Sky. Although his swordsmanship was not very flashy, it was the most efficient one. Lin Fan knew the chance to successfully doing that was low, so he could only hit the wrist, distract the opponent's concentration, and disrupting the flow of the battle. No need to say anything, I know who you are. Feng-yi-san. Chapter 45. It is the time you are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan knew his opponent's name because he got the information through the system. How did you know my name? Feng-yi-san said in horror. He was shocked because Lin Fan could know his name, even though he was wearing a mask. Lin Fan seized the opportunity, he slashed the opponent when he knew his opponent was in a panic, and the opponent's movements became sloppy. Damn! If Feng-yi-san were not fast enough, he would be cut into two by Lin Fan. He shouldn't answer Lin Fan's words, even if he were really shocked. Lin Fan felt that it was a pity that he missed the big chance. Lin Fan glanced at Feng-yi-san. Feng-yi-san. 5th stage, possible item drop. 70 years worth of express battle axe, 4th stage, triple strikes, 4th stage, 5-fold strikes, 4th stage, a fine iron axe silver money secret letter. Lin Fan was fascinated by Feng-yi-san's possible item drop. Wang Zhou and others have already fought against their own enemies, not only humans, but they must also be aware of demons too. As for Captain Zhao, he was in a pinch even though his opponent was easy. He was facing a 4th stage cultivation demon. Although he was skillful and he had enough combat experience, the opponent's cultivation was higher than him, which made Captain Zhao cornered. He took everything he had just to dodge his opponent's attack. When did this kid become so powerful? Captain Zhao looked at Lin Fan. How long had the time passed? Even though a while ago, Lin Fan was cornered by a rabbit demon, but Lin Fan was like a different person now. Boom! Meanwhile, Feng-yi-san successfully landed a hit on Lin Fan's chest. That attack injured Lin Fan. Lin Fan's enemy was difficult to deal with. Your son of a. Lin Fan was in a pinch, and he slashed Feng-yi-san's abdomen. Feng-yi-san made a fatal mistake to show an opening. Lin Fan smiled when he successfully slashed Feng-yi-san's abdomen, and the blood was dripping like a waterfall. Feng-yi-san was also a veteran and had a lot of experience. He used the iron chain to stop Lin Fan's sword before it got too deep, and then he kept the distance between Lin Fan. This guy is a bit strong. Feng-yi-san felt the blood didn't stop dripping from his abdomen. He really wanted to cut Lin Fan into pieces. He didn't want to say anything to Lin Fan in order to keep his secret. But he couldn't figure out how Lin Fan could know his name. That was simply impossible. Meanwhile, Lin Fan's chest was hurt a bit. Fortunately, the hardening skin saved him. Yes, I can kill him. Even though the opponent's cultivation was 3 years higher than him, he was not afraid. He already found the opponent's weakness from earlier. All he needed was confidence to bring out his full strength. Feng-yi-san, just drop that mask off. Maybe the others don't know who you are, but I know you. And not only you, I know every single one of you. Don't think I'm lying to you. He is Wan Qing. He is Yuan Bei. Lin Fan didn't move. He wanted to observe Feng-yi-san's reaction after he mentioned all of Feng-yi-san's comrades. As Feng-yi-san was wearing a mask, he could not see the expression. But he knew Feng-yi-san was in a panic because Lin Fan could know the name every one of them. The man who fought with Wang Zhou was distracted by Lin Fan's words. All of the enemies were panic, thus affecting their stance. Wang Zhou seized the opportunity. He successfully slashed his opponent. Wang Zhou could bring down one of his enemies because he fought with 2 enemies at the same time. He endured a lot of pressure, not to mention his opponent's cultivation was the same as him. He wondered how Lin Fan knew their name. But that was not the time to ask about those things. Lin Fan obviously disrupted the situation at the scene. And that was the opportunity for Lin Fan's party. Hiya. Hop. I want your triple strikes. Lin Fan shouted, and then he took a stance, using ox crushing the mountain. Lin Fan's spiritual power was blasting out like thunder. Lin Fan slashed Feng Yisan's lower part of his body. Feng Yisan tried to protect his lower part of his body but failed. But Feng Yisan was moving so fast, he changed his stance and swung the axe in his hand. Feng Yisan was relying on his flexible body, but Lin Fan also instantly changed his stance, and Lin Fan's sword clashed with Feng Yisan's axe. Hiya! Lin Fan shouted, pressed Feng Yisan's axe to the ground, and then slammed his head toward Feng Yisan. Iron Head. After many days of hard work, it was finally time for that technique to shine. The brute strength of ox crushing the mountain, plus the hardening skin and iron head, Lin Fan was using 3-dot technique at the same time. Crack. Feng Yisan was shocked. Lin Fan's attack crushed his chest. What a stupid guy, you get distracted just by my words. Lin Fan said while touching his head. Even if Feng Yisan didn't die, his organs were absolutely shattered by Lin Fan's bald head. Chapter 46. The girl cannot afford to get a serious injuries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan was in a good mood. He successfully defeated the opponent, who was stronger than him. Feng Yisan had a hard time breathing, and a lot of blood spewed out of his mouth. He didn't expect to be hurt badly like that by Lin Fan. He saw Lin Fan was approaching him. He was a bit hesitant to ask for help, because his comrades were on par with the rest, and even had the advantage. But look at him now. Damn it. Lin Fan approached Feng Yisan and would never let go of the treasure in front of his eyes. Kill me. With a sword in his hand, a living creature left this world so peacefully. Lin Fan wanted to help others in their fight hurriedly. Yes. I might get 70 years worth of cultivation. Lin Fan prayed in his heart that he could get the cultivation. Martial arts. 5-fold strikes, 4th stage, no. He didn't get the cultivation. You guys deserve a painful death. Lin Fan scolded and left. He rushed to Captain Zhao. Captain Zhao, I'm here. Captain Zhao was too busy dealing with a 4th stage demon, and he got many scars from the fight. The demon he dealt with was an eagle demon, with its extremely sharp claws and speed as its main weapon in battle. A weapon that hasn't been enhanced by spiritual power would break to pieces by its claw. How's it going? Lin Fan asked Captain Zhao. Captain Zhao breathed a sigh of relief. I can't hold it anymore if you don't come. This beast is troublesome. Lin Fan looked at the eagle demon, which was almost 2 meters wide with its wings spread, and its eyes were shining. Eagle demon. 4th stage demon, possible item drop. 40 years worth of cultivation, spirit root, fragment, Hawkeye, pseudo, bronze, sharp edge, pseudo, gold, hawk hitting the sky, 4th stage, wind wings, 3rd stage. I didn't expect the demon can drop such things. Lin Fan muttered the demon had not only the spirit root but also high grade technique. Hawkeye was a pseudo, bronze grade, but the sharp edge was a pseudo, golden grade. That was the highest grade Lin Fan had encountered so far. Looking at other demons, none of them exceeded the pseudo, gold grade. Maybe it had nothing to do with cultivation. Brother Lin, what are you mumbling about? Captain Zhao asked. The sword in his hand was in poor condition caused by the eagle demon's attack, and it was not far from being scrapped. It's nothing. I just think that I can defeat this eagle demon. Lin Fan said. Captain Zhao would never allow Lin Fan to show off in front of him if that was the case. The eagle demon hovered and spread its wings, its beak radiated white light. Suddenly, the eagle demon flapped its wings and charged in. Then the wings spread wide, its body rotated at high speed, which caused a razor-like airflow that could harm anything near it. Be careful. Captain Zhao reminded Lin Fan that the eagle demon was too strong. If he were not careful, he would be fatally wounded. Captain Zhao, I'm sure I can beat this guy. I have a plan. Lin Fan ran straight to the demon. Ox crushing the mountain. At that moment, Lin Fan's sword slashed towards the eagle demon's beak, even though the eagle demon's power seemed so strong, but Lin Fan didn't fear it at all. A light flashed when those two clashed. Lin Fan slashed across the enemy while holding his sword in a slashing stance, and then he slowly lowered his arm. As his arm was lowered down. Crack. The demon's beak cracked, and then a fatal wound spread from the beak of the demon to its neck, body, and tail. The demon was bleeding, and its huge body fell to the ground. Captain Zhao was stunned, looked at the dead eagle demon, and then stared at Lin Fan, who was standing there calmly. What happened? Lin Fan was so powerful. Captain Zhao fought with the eagle demon for quite a while, but the eagle demon almost killed him, but he did not expect that the eagle demon was defeated in a split second by that kid. The gap was a bit big. Lin Fan was a bit nervous, waiting for the system to inform him of the item drop. Obtained. 40 years worth of cultivation. Great. Lin Fan almost jumped up in excitement. He didn't expect to get the cultivation. He wanted to kneel down to honor the eagle demon. You didn't die in vain. And it was not just the cultivation, was things like obtained. Sharp edge, pseudo, gold, what a. Lin Fan already had 67 years worth of cultivation, and thanks to the eagle demon now, it skyrocketed to 107 years. His spiritual power has reached its highest level. Withdraw. Withdraw. Yuan Bei, who fought with Wang Zhou, did not expect the situation to change. Indeed, casualties were inevitable. But Feng Yisan's death was a big shock for him. And they were all wounded, they couldn't continue to fight. Yuan Bei's body was like an arrow, he blasted away towards the distance. It was okay for the demon to die, as long as they could leave. When the demon saw the humans fled, they also tried to escape. But Lin Fan wouldn't want to lose the source of cultivation. Don't chase them. Wang Zhou shouted while kneeling on the ground, spitting blood, and his face turned pale. Sir, are you okay? Lin Fan asked. It was a pity that he couldn't kill all of the enemies. My injury was a bit serious. One of my opponent's cultivation is higher than me, plus the demon injured my hand, but I have to fight. Wang Zhou said, then looked at Lin Fan, you never cease to amaze me. He didn't expect Lin Fan would improve Iron Head to such a degree. Li Zhiyong, as a child from a wealthy family, naturally had no shortage of talents. It was not difficult to accumulate cultivation, but for Lin Fan, who was just a commoner, that was impossible. Everyone heard Li Zhiyong's voice. Sister Lu. It turned out that Lu Ru was in critical condition. Chapter 47. Spy, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Ru was not the only one who was seriously injured, but also the other two veterans, but their wound was not fatal as Lu Ru's wound, and at least they didn't faint. However, Lu Ru was thug enough for a woman. Even if she was injured bad enough, she never called for help. If the other girl was in the same condition as her, that girl would have cried for help. She is okay, fortunately, there is no life-threatening wound. Wang Zhou looked at the injury, checked her pulse, the pulse was steady, and then he said, we can't stay in this place for too long, we must leave quickly. Wait. Lin Fan said. He immediately walked towards Feng Yisan's corpse. He seemed to be searching for something on Feng Yisan's body, and he found the secret letter that was already burned. And he also found the silver money in Feng Yisan's pocket. Wang Zhou and others looked at Lin Fan without knowing what Lin Fan was doing. It may give us info about who is the one behind all of this. Lin Fan said, there is a mole, the enemy has eyes and ears in our government or hunter guild. Wang Zhou and the others were shocked when heard that. Li Zhiyong took Lu Ru on the horse, and they rushed on the road overnight. It was not recommended to stay there for too long. It was safer to return to the city immediately. On the way back, Lin Fan took out the secret letter, and he found 2 words on the corner of the letter. Dragon Gang. Lin Fan guessed that it should be an important letter. Feng Yisan left that letter and wanted to take it back, but he did not expect to die in the battle. Thanks to the system, Lin Fan was able to find that letter. Everyone, Dragon Gang is the one who did this. Lin Fan handed the letter to Wang Zhou and everybody was speechless. Fuck Dragon Gang, I will make them pay for it. Li Zhiyong's eyes showed that he was very angry. Don't be reckless. Wang Zhou hurriedly said, although we already knew Dragon Gang is behind all of this, Dragon Gang's power in Jiangdu City is relatively large and we can't handle it easily. Lin Fan remained silent. To him, he no longer needed to be careful. His cultivation has already reached 107 years, it was the cultivation of immortals. So, Dragon Gang's lackey was nothing in his eyes. Jiangdu City. Dragon Gang headquarters. Grandmaster, the mission failed. Yuan Bei and others bowed while reporting the situation. They didn't expect they will lose and even lost Feng Yisan. Do you still have a face to come back even though you fail? The Grandmaster yelled at them. You can't even kill one of them even though you bring the demons. Don't you think that is crazy? Yuan Bei and others looked down and shivered. The Grandmaster knew what happened recently, but he didn't care about that. His lackeys must get rid of every bugs which wanted to destroy their garden, be it the government or the Hunter Guild. In the past, they did not make a move because there were no disputes with the government or Hunter Guild, but now that the problem has arisen, it must be resolved, exterminated them, and put all the blame on the demons. Grandmaster, I suspect that we have spies in our gang. Yuan Bei remembered that Lin Fan knew about their names, and he was shocked because that was not a simple matter. What? The Grandmaster suddenly stood. Yuan Bei said, when we besieged those people in Gutsuan, Wang Zhou's men named Lin Fan knew our names. He called our names one by one. How could an outsider know us? Impossible. The Grandmaster denied it. How could anyone know his lackey's identity? If we didn't hear it with our own ears, we would never believe it ourselves. There must be a spy inside the gang, and this spy is not an ordinary person. Yuan Bei said. He didn't say anything furthermore. The Grandmaster was smart, he could definitely understand what Yuan Bei meant. He thought there was a possibility that Lin Fan's party knew Dragon Gang will come to kill them and took a precaution. The Grandmaster pondered, he waved his hand to let Yuan Bei leave. The Grandmaster wondered who the spy was. He arranged that operation himself. If there was any mistake, it was Yuan Bei who was most likely the spy himself. Because the demons couldn't defy him. And he remembered Lin Fan. That if he wanted to know who the spy was, he could only learn about that from Lin Fan. Hunter Guild. After Li Zhiyong and others returned, they immediately called for a doctor to treat them. Although Lu Ru's life was no longer in danger, the injuries on her body were quite serious, especially the wounds on her calf, anyone could see her bones. He regretted it. If he knew that would be the case, he won't let Lu Ru go with them. Wang Zhou and Lin Fan left the Hunter Guild. The operation was not a success, but it was not a failure either. Master, can we do something about Dragon Gang? Lin Fan asked. Wang Zhou stopped while hearing that, and then he said, if I say there is nothing we can do, will you be disappointed? Yeah, a bit. Lin Fan said. Wang Zhou sighed, Dragon Gang in Jiangdu City is just one of the branches. It is too difficult to convict Dragon Gang from this small city. In Lin Fan's eyes, it was just a matter of strength. That was the fundamental point to solve everything. Chapter 48. So arrogant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan remained silent for quite a while, and those two went separate ways. The night was quiet. He came to that world without any family and for no reason, and now there was a group of men following him. His goal was to become immortal. After he knew about the system, he must become the strongest being in that world. After all, that world was fucked up. Everything the strong said was right, regardless of all facts. Lin Fan wanted to leave Jiangdu City to see the other side of the world. As for Wang Bao, he naturally couldn't take Wang Bao away. His cultivation was too weak, and Lin Fan's cultivation was only enough to protect himself. Quickly, Lin Fan returned to his room, thinking about what happened recently. The cultivation of immortals, spirit root. But he didn't even have a shard of spirit root, because he has bad luck. Lin Fan returned to his room, sat there, poured a cup of tea, and took a sip to quench his thirst. The items he obtained from the enemies were pretty good. 5-fold strikes, 4th stage. Severing the bones, slaying them, divine death, extinction. The info on that technique was amazingly grotesque. Anyway, that was also a 4th stage technique. That will solve one of Lin Fan's problems since he lacked technique. The biggest fish was the other technique. Sharp edge, pseudo, gold. The eagle demon's talent, the indestructible fingers, extremely hard, extremely sharp, and it was enough to split mountain into two. Lin Fan already had black iron, bronze, and gold grade talent. He obtained those talents from monsters as if he was born with it. He thought if he defeated a strong demon, for example, the demon who had a fire immunity talent, a regeneration talent, thunder bender talent, etc., then he will be the strongest for sure. If all talents were combined together, it would be absolutely terrifying. He tried the sharp edge first. The shape of his fingers changed. If he used those fingers to do something evil, he would be far more terrifying than the demon itself. If he combined with 5-fold strikes, its strength would be amazing. The next day, one thing happened in Dragon Gang. A group of lackeys gathered, holding a piece of paper in their hands, facing each other. They were confused. Dragon Gang wanted them to fill in their place of origin and personal information. But the problem was, they couldn't write, they didn't even know a single letter. That was the Grandmaster's plan to reveal the spy's identity. If the spy knew about the data collecting, the spy would be panic. He was very proud of that plan. He used to be known just for his strength and his guts, but he was using his brain at that time. Government Buildings Gate. Even though Lin Fan experienced terrible things last night, he still waited at the gate like usual. Today, our training will be slightly different. In the past, they ran around the road outside Jiangdu City. But now they were preparing to run on the main streets in the city. Wang Bao and the others' spiritual power raised significantly, thanks to the training. The street was very lively. In front of a stall who was selling pears. "Sir, this pear is very sweet." The hawker who was selling pears was an old man in his 60s. Due to chronic malnutrition and fatigue, he looked like he was 70 or 80 years old. At that moment, the old man kneeled and tried to please several Dragon Gang members in front of him. A big man took a bite of pear and then said, "It's time to pay the stall fee." The old man begged, "Sir, you know really well that the market is in terrible condition, and my wife is also sick. I hope you can take these silvers as the down payment, and I will pay the rest later." Slap. The big man smashed the pear to the ground. He was so fierce, and he kicked the pear stall. "You are in the Dragon Gang area, have you considered about the consequences?" "My pear." The old man was so distressed that he rushed to the ground to pick up the pears, but the big man stepped on his hands. "Your wife has nothing to do with Dragon Gang. You must follow the rules if you still want to open your stall here." The hawkers around saw those people with a disgusted gaze. And suddenly, "You bastard!" The big man who was harassing the old man heard that voice. Who was so arrogant and brave enough to say that? Chapter 49. It is difficult to explain it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who do you think you are, acting all high and mighty? What? Just when that big man yelled at someone who suddenly came, the big man felt his neck was cold, because a sword touched his neck. Then he saw a group of bald heads approached him with swords. Their heads were so bright and dazzling under the sunshine, and the big man instantly remembered who those guys were. They were the bald head group who crushed Lang Jun from Dragon Gang at the port. What are you trying to do? Be careful, the sword has no eyes. The big man said. He looked calm, but in fact, he was panicked, and he drew his sword and then pointed it at Lin Fan without saying a word. Even Dragon Gang was not as crazy as Lin Fan. The big man's name was Chiu Air, and he was just one of Dragon Gang's thugs, so he could only bring a few men with him. Compared with Lang Jun, there was a big gap. Sir, are they trying to do something toward you? Lin Fan walked to the old man and said, Don't be afraid, we are here, those guys can't do anything. Chiu Air was furious and wondered who that man was. But Chiu Air had to endure his anger because Lin Fan's sword was on his neck. The old man didn't dare to say anything. It wasn't because he didn't believe in Lin Fan's words, but the stigma of Dragon Gang made the old man so scared. He was afraid Dragon Gang would bring trouble to him afterward. Lin Fan knew that the old man might be afraid. We didn't do anything suspicious. This is the Dragon Gang area. They have to pay the rent to set up a stall here. Even if you are the government's dogs, you have no right to interfere with us. Even though Chiu Air was frightened by Lin Fan's sword around his neck, he still acted like a tough guy. He didn't believe Lin Fan had the guts to kill him. Hee. Lin Fan shook his head and slapped Chiu Air's face, again and again, although Lin Fan didn't put any strength to it, still, it felt so shameful. Chiu Air looked at Lin Fan furiously. Dragon Gang's power made Chiu Air at ease. As long as he got back up from Dragon Gang, he did not believe there was anyone who dared to mess with him. Forget it, seeing you look so confused, I know that you are stupid enough and don't understand what I'm saying, it's useless. Lin Fan said lazily and stretched out his hand to Chiu Air. Chiu Air was frightened and shouted, What do you want to do in broad daylight and in the middle of the crowd like this? Lin Fan found 12 silver from Chiu Air's pocket. The poor couldn't believe those people were actually helping them. Sir, our job is to make sure Jiangdu City keeps safe. These silver are the compensation for your broken stall. Lin Fan said. Sir, this is too much, I can't accept it. The old man was afraid to take the silver. But Lin Fan insisted on giving the silver. It is also the compensation for your mental loss. What does that mean? The old man was confused and couldn't understand what it meant. Lin Fan didn't want to explain too much. With the old man's knowledge, he was afraid that it would be difficult to understand what the mental loss fee was. Hurry up, leave this place with that money. Lin Fan urged the old man to leave quickly. Bo Lu, pick up the pear on the ground for the old man. Yes, sir. The people and hawkers around looked at the situation in front of them and couldn't believe their own eyes. They did not expect the hunters would act like heroes. It was as if they descended from the sky riding on colorful clouds, and brought judgment to Dragon Gang. Take all of them to the dungeon. Lin Fan was so happy that he could teach them a lesson or two. Lin Fan, the bald hero. Even though Chiu Air was Dragon Gang's lackey, Lin Fan didn't care and still wanted to punish them. What do you want to do? We didn't do anything wrong. You have no right to arrest us. We're from Dragon Gang. You're looking for death. Lin Fan didn't listen to the dog's bark. Gentlemen, please rest assured, as long as you don't commit any crimes, you will be safe. Let's go. When Lin Fan arrested Chiu Air and his men, everyone on the scene was eagerly talking about it. Please read this novel on original translation site systemtranslation.com. Inside the dungeon. Chiu-er was tied to a wooden pillar, and Lin Fan tied a lot of books to Chiu-er and his men's belly. "Leader, are we not practicing today?" Wang Bao asked. Lin Fan said, "I appreciated your efforts for all this time, and now what you lack most is actual combat, but hey, the opportunity has come, they are your actual combat dummy. Rest assured, you can go full power since there are books protecting them." Lin Fan observed his men's growth day by day. He knew his men would reach the second stage of Iron Head in no time. Someday, Lin Fan will leave the city. It was important for him to prepare his men so they could survive on their own. Chiu-er did not quite understand what Lin Fan said. But somehow, he had a bad feeling about that. "What do you want to do?" Chiu-er shouted with a slight panic. Wang Bao and others slowly approached them. Lin Fan's men were so nervous. They had been training their bald heads and worked hard for many days. Now, they were going to practice it on a real person. Bald heads slammed Chiu-er and his men's belly. Ugh! They were screaming. Even with a lot of books protecting them, Chiu-er still felt the impact. Lin Fan was drinking tea leisurely, watching his men was devoted to the new training menu he gave. He was quite relieved. His men's hard work will be rewarded. But Zhu Ho, one of the 8 leaders in Dragon Gang, was feeling gloomy. The government arrested Dragon Gang members. That obviously destroyed Dragon Gang's reputation. "Come here!" Zhu Ho shouted. Soon, a middle-aged man slowly walked approaching him. He was Zhu Ho's right arm. He did not have a high position in the organization, but he indeed was quite skilled. "Office. Master, do you need something from me?" Ji Zhen asked. "Our members were arrested by the government. Get them out for me and ask Wang Zhou what he wants." Zhu Ho said. "Yes, Master, I will do it immediately." Ji Zhen went out immediately. He did not expect the people in the government would actually do something to Dragon Gang members. Chapter 50. It is not about money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the dungeon. Don't. I promise I will change my way from now on. Help me. Sir, please show mercy. Wang Bao never hit people until he practiced the Iron Head technique. He always practiced on the tree. Now, he will be practicing on an actual human. At that time, Captain Zhao came to the dungeon. He heard a scream from afar. Surprisingly, all Dragon Gang members were all tied to the wooden pillars, and Wang Bao's behavior shocked Captain Zhao. "Captain Zhao, is there something important that you come here all the way by yourself?" Lin Fan knew that Captain Zhao was a busy man. Captain Zhao was seriously injured last time. Captain Zhao was just bandaged, he was already back to work again. Lin Fan admired his spirit. Captain Zhao glanced at the screaming Dragon Gang members and approached Lin Fan. He whispered, "Master Wang asked me to come here and ask, what are you trying to do?" "One of the Dragon Gang leaders came, and Master Wang asked me to come to you." Lin Fan said, "Those guys committed crimes in the street, and then I arrest them right there and then, I can't ignore it when I see it." "Well, there is nothing wrong with it." Captain Zhao agreed with Lin Fan's way of thinking, and after hearing the scream, he had to remind Lin Fan, "Don't kill those guys. Otherwise, it will be difficult to explain to the higher-ups. Rest assured. I don't intend to kill those guys." Lin Fan said. Captain Zhao also hated Dragon Gang, and naturally, he turned his back on what Lin Fan did. Lin Fan stopped the training and told his men to take the books back. Wang Bao and others were addicted to Lin Fan's new training. Chiu-er's belly was slammed many times, and he kept screaming, but what happened next made him almost fainted. After a while, the servants guarding the gate of the dungeon hurried in. "Sir, there are people outside asking to get in." "Let them in." Lin Fan knew that was Dragon Gang. As for which division it was, Lin Fan didn't really care. The last time was Hu Tang, this time, it was Kaishan Tang. Lin Fan indeed wanted to eradicate all of them, so if the enemies were looking for Lin Fan, that would save him the trouble. Outside the dungeon, Ji Zhen was waiting in his elegant clothes. Although he was a middle-aged man, he always looked so elegant. So stylish. You can go in. Wu Yi let Ji Zhen went in. Ji Zhen never thought he would be welcomed there. He never met Lin Fan in person before. Last time, Lin Fan broke Lang Jun's legs from Hu Tang, and Gao Yixiong didn't even do anything about that, which surprised him a lot. Lin Fan was just a mediocre hunter, nothing extraordinary in Ji Zhen's eyes. Soon, Ji Zhen saw a shining head when he entered the dungeon, and that person smiled at him. Is that the person I'm facing this time? Ji Zhen thought. Seemed like a plain old Joe. Ji Zhen's expression slowly changed, a smile appeared on his face, he acted as if he was Lin Fan's old acquaintance. Ha ha ha. Lin Fan smiled. I didn't expect to attract such huge attention. I never know until today. Ji Zhen's smile gradually faded, Lin Fan seemed difficult to deal with. Please sit down. Lin Fan let Ji Zhen sat down. Ji Zhen smiled and nodded. Yu Guang looked at Xiu Er, and others were tied up to the wooden pillar. Sir, those little ignorant guys have offended Sir Lin, and I'm here in their place to apologize to you. Lin Fan waved his hand and said, it's fine. But they are breaking the law in the street. As a hunter of Jiangdu City, I can't just sit idly watching them. Ji Zhen said, Sir, although Dragon Gang is a thug, we have strict rules. These guys use Dragon Gang's reputation to do bad things, and I'm so ashamed because of it. It doesn't matter. Lin Fan laughed. There are scums like them everywhere. Dragon Gang has a great business and influence. It is normal if there are several people like them. My opinion about Dragon Gang will not be biased just because of those guys. Don't worry, I won't do anything to them, it's just a month in prison, and after that, I will return them to you personally. But Ji Zhen's purpose was to get those people out. Actually, those guys were not important to the organization, but Dragon Gang's name will be tainted if the outside world learned about it. And eventually, there will revolt against Dragon Gang in the future. At that time, Ji Zhen took out 2,000 silver money, slowly put them on the table, and gently pushed them into the middle, looking straight at Lin Fan sincerely, Sir, it's just a trivial thing to do. I promise to take them back and give them a severe punishment. Lin Fan and Ji Zhen looked at each other, he looked down, glanced at the silver money, and smiled, Ji Zhen, are you trying to insult me? No, I wouldn't dream of it, I just hope that Sir Lin Fan can understand me, and this is for you and your men to have a meal after this. Ji Zhen took out another silver money and pushed it gently to the middle of the table. Lin Fan sighed, hey, it's hard for me to accept this. I caught them in the street for breaking the law, how can I just let them go? Ji Zhen was a cold person. His ability to be the representative of Kaishan Tang was enough to show that he was a capable person. Lin Fan's behavior gradually changed. That showed the silver money was just not enough. Ji Zhen took out silver money again and sincerely said, Sir Lin, I need your help. I can't let disappoint my brethren. If I let them go now, what will my brethren think? Lin Fan pretended to be very embarrassed. Ji Zhen glanced at the hunters standing behind Lin Fan and cursed them in his heart. At that time, Ji Zhen no longer took out the silver money one after another, instead, he took out a lot of silver money at once and pushed it directly in front of Lin Fan, Sir Lin, please show your mercy. Okay, since you are so sincere. I will accept this, but you must understand that this matter has nothing to do with anything, I appreciate your sincerity, that's all. But remember, don't let me arrest them again for the second time. Lin Fan got up and hid the money in his sleeve, his heart was filled with joy. Ji Jun smiled but cursed Lin Fan in his heart. He pretended to be grateful. Sir Lin, don't worry, we will take this lesson as an example, please don't hesitate to arrest them if you find them guilty. Okay. Lin Fan answered.